We're down to the final week of high school basketball, so we'll look at the local teams that are still alive for a state championship. Plus, we'll focus on a sport that everyone is going to want to play in the near future. Next on SFBN Talks High School Sports. Talk about that game and that team in particular. And let's talk about some of the players. Yeah, so let's talk about that. Welcome to another edition of SFBN Talks High School Sports. I'm your host, Ari Bluestein, and Emily, there was so much good basketball over the weekend. I want to talk about a few of the very exciting games, and the first one, Roman versus Pennsbury. Roman out of District 12, Pennsbury out of District 1. One of the most unusual starts to a basketball game that you will ever see. Pennsbury comes out wearing the incorrect uniforms. They're assessed a technical foul. Roman makes one of two, and what do you know? Roman wins by one.
Yeah, like you said, what a crazy way to start this game. Now, the official rule here is that the top half of the bracket, they have to wear their home jerseys, and Pennsbury wore their away jerseys to this game, which is why they got that technical foul. And their head coach even mentioned he wasn't aware of this rule. But what a heartbreaking loss for Pennsbury. They lost by 1 point. Tony Carr for Roman made one of the two free throws that really made the difference for this game. So what a heartbreaking way to lose.
Yeah, it really was. And obviously the 1 point was the difference. But This game was so competitive. Both teams had their chances to win the ball game. And in the end, Roman wins, representing District 12. Now, the other D12, D1 matchup was Martin Luther King versus Plymouth White Marsh, and this was really expected to be a very good game, but in the end, King, they got off to a really good start. PW made it interesting towards the middle of the game, but in the end, King just pulled away.
Right, King was up in the first quarter. PW came back and was only down by 5 at the half, so they were giving them a run for their money there for a little while, but then King kicked it up and, they coasted to the win, and they ended the game 59-43.
So District 12 wins the battle of D12 versus D1 there in those two games. The third District 12 team that was left, the LaSalle Explorers, and they made a run all the way to the 4A state championship game last year. They come up 1 point short against J.P. McCaskey, who's really playing well right now. They knocked off Abington, they knocked off Methacton, and now they defeated LaSalle. And this was one of the more thrilling final minutes of the weekend. Right,
this game, the last minute was really tit for tat. What an exciting game. I mean, being there must have been amazing. It was 57-56 LaSalle with under a minute in the game. Gant scores for McCaskey. They lead 58-57 with 20 seconds left in the game. Then both teams exchange baskets, 60-59 for McCaskey with just 2 seconds left. So this game truly was a tit for tat last minute. Very exciting. And to me, it's really awesome that McCaskey has been playing so well because they don't have one kid over 6'4". Wow. So, I mean, a lot of times they are outmatched by the height there, but, they've been playing amazing.
Yeah, I mean, they're on a roll right now, and unfortunately for LaSalle, they were their latest victim, and in those final 2 seconds, LaSalle wasn't even really able to get a good shot off, so they go down. Their season's over, unfortunately. Now, over in 3A, Newman-Goretti, they're one of the best teams in this area and in the entire country as well.
Right.
They're one of the best programs. They've had a lot of success there, but they had a tough take with Bishop McDevitt out of the Harrisburg area. Now, early on, Newman-Goretti looked like they had a comfortable lead, but McDevitt really made it interesting in the fourth quarter.
They did. Bishop McDevitt was down by 15 at the half. They came back, led by 3 with just a minute left in the game. Then Newman-Goretti went on a run. They won it. Quad A Green had a couple of free throws, and Newman-Goretti won this one by 5 points.
Yeah, those games were all very thrilling games, but District 12 also had some other winners. You had Constitution and MCS, Conwell-Egan, Carroll, Imhotep, and when it's all said and done, you look at the 4 brackets. There's a Final 4 left in all the brackets, 16 teams, 8. So half of them are from District 12.
So all 4 of these classes could be won by Philly teams. So that's a stacked district right there. Philadelphia plays some good basketball.
Yeah, I certainly would say so. And we have plenty more Philly basketball to discuss on SFBN Talks. But when we return, we will switch gears to another indoor winter sport next on SFBN Talks High School Sports.
Hi, I'm Tommy Green, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. When I was in high school, it was very important to me to show scouts what I could do. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the Sports Fan Base Network. If you're a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215-624-0922 or 866-PAY-EASY.
For over 30 years, the Runaround has serviced southeastern Pennsylvania as the premier team outfitter in the region. Located in Abington, the Runaround serves as a one-stop shop for many of the area's top high school and collegiate athletic programs, as well as numerous travel teams, youth organizations, and corporations. With its top-quality screen printing and embroidery coupled with the best prices in the region, the Runaround is your answer to any team apparel needs.
The Ambler Sports Academy is owned and operated by professional teachers and coaches. We specialize in individual, group, and team training. Book your next baseball or softball birthday party with us or call to learn more about how we can improve your organization by providing coaching clinics, tryout evaluations, and on-the-field training. The Ambler Sports Academy will be offering summer camps at the following locations. Be sure to visit our website today for details. We look forward to helping your players reach their maximum potential.
Welcome back to SFBN Talks. There aren't many schools in this area that play squash, but it's one of the fastest growing sports in the entire country. So we wanted to learn a little bit more about it, and who better to send out than our own Jack Cat.
Boast. How do you spell boast?
B-O-N-S-T.
Alright, boast away.
Okay. Boast is generally you use it either as a defensive shot or an attacking shot. And you hit it against the sidewall or against the front wall. So there's 3 wall boast or there's 2 wall boast. That's what it goes.
Am I doing this now?
Yes.
Oh. Close. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
One more try.
Squash is an unusual game. I mean, the racket is a different shape than other racket games. So tell us a little bit about your game, squash.
Well, the squash racket, it's a lot thinner and lighter than other rackets. The ball is really small. It's not very bouncy. You have to warm it up before you can really play with it. But the court is similar to a racquetball court.
You've studied squash a little bit.
Yeah.
I understand. So tell us a little bit about the growth of squash here in this country.
So squash has grown exponentially over the past few years. There are clubs across the country, especially along the East Coast. Philadelphia itself is a huge hub for squash. There are many junior players and adults. Tournaments are here throughout the year, even the U.S. Open Championship, which is an international tournament for professional players. And then looking at college squash, East Coast colleges across the country are creating teams, building courts. There's UVA in the South just created a brand new facility. Stanford and the West Coast has their team. So you see squash being everywhere in the United States, and especially more and more people begin to learn about it, more and more people start to play.
That's very interesting.
So if they hit it most and they're running up, they think you're going to hit a drop shot, you can hit it across the court to try and get in that position.
So you're trying to get them and walk down to that position. You're going to demonstrate it. Go ahead.
Yes. That's across.
So the drop shot comes in.
Just like that. Yeah. Ready?
Drop me again.
All right.
Yeah. The ball doesn't have a high bounce.
No.
You know, like a racquetball bounces higher. So in this one, it bounces so you really got to stand or something.
Now, when you play, what is your favorite part of the game? What do you like to do?
So I love how you're able to change the pace. I've never been able to hit the ball quite as hard as other girls because I'm fairly petite, but I love how you're able to hit the ball high, and you have the opportunity to hit it high and slow, and you can still win the point the exact same way. And the physical aspect it keeps you in shape for the whole year, and it's so much fun.
What we're going to try to do is combine these two shots to create a drill. So what happens is the person in the back hits both, the person in the front hits across court, and you just keep going.
So now I close, you
I'm
go
not
for it,
crossing,
and
you
what am I
cross.
supposed to do?
So yeah.
I'll try it.
So they'll hit it out to you and go hook
And when I go home, I can post it?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Let's try that again. I'm close. Close coming up. You know what's fooling me is I keep expecting the ball to bounce high.
Yeah, that's the one thing about squash.
It's different.
Use the wand a lot.
It
Yeah.
really does.
Yeah.
The ball kind of like just squashes.
Yeah.
Tigers on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Hi, I'm Marty Bystrom, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. In my experience in Major League Baseball, I know how important it is for high school athletes to gain exposure. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the Sports Fan Base Network. If you are a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215-624-0922 or 866-PAY-EASY.
The Writers' Corner is brought to you by El Dion Pagilari State Farm Insurance Agency. For all your insurance and financial needs, please contact El Dion and his friendly team at 215-485-5556 or visit their website, epinsured.com. Welcome back. It's now time for the Writers' Corner. And Ed, I want to get back into our basketball discussion. Let's go to the girls' side of things. Let's start with the top team in the entire country, the Newman-Goretti Saints. They're at the 2A level, and they got a little bit of a scare this past weekend in the state quarterfinals.
Definitely their biggest scare of the entire season against Dunmore. They end up winning this game by 3 points. They were trailing throughout until about 3 minutes left in the game. AJ Timbers, one of their 4 Division I signees, going to Towson. She hits a 3-point three-pointer, puts them up for the first time all game. Siani Martin also going to Towson with Timbers. She had 8 of her 25 points in the fourth quarter. A couple of big free throws late to seal the game. Siani Cryer going to Georgia Tech. She had a nice game with 11 points and 9 assists. Christina Abaroa going to Texas. She had her moments. So you kind of have to look at this on two hands. One, well, maybe they're not as invincible as we once thought, but when their backs are against the wall and they're facing a stiff challenge, their big players make big-time plays, and that's what a great team does. They're the #1 team in the country. 28-0 now. They've lost just one game in the last 2 years. That was in last year's state championship. This is a team, before they all split up, go their separate ways, they have business to take care of from last year. Kind of hard to bet against them, even though they did have quite a scare against Dunmore.
Yeah, they've got the talent. They've got the coach. Andrea Peterson won the National Naismith Coach of the Year. So you mentioned they lost in the state title last year. They've got a good shot to win it this year. And now another local team that lost in the state championship last year are the Archbishop Wood Vikings at the 3A level. Now they faced off against their Catholic League rivals, Bonner Prendy, and they end up winning that game. Talk about that game a little bit.
Well, it's been a roller coaster of emotions for Archbishop Wood over the last 6 weeks or so. Head coach John Gallagher has to resign amidst a lot of controversy, kind of thinking, well, this team might be dead in the water. These are our high school girls, and this is just a huge distraction to have to deal with come playoff time. And what have they done since? Well, they lost in the title game to Newman Gretty, only by 5 points, gave them a great game. They've reeled off 3 state playoff wins in a row. They're allowing just 33 points a game combined in those 3 wins. This is what this team does. They guard. They love to play defense. They are deep. They don't turn the ball over. They just make very few mistakes. A lot of that starts with senior Aubrey Brown. She's going to Drexel. 6 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds over against Bonner Prendy. She does a little bit of everything. Bailey Greenberg, the prized junior forward, had 12 points. She left that game with an ankle injury. Her status going forward is in question right now. So not having her, that would be a huge blow to the Vikings. But given all this team has gone through in the last month or so, to still be here, still playing, whether they have Greenberg or not, it's kind of hard to go against them at this point because here they are, still here.
Yeah, they love to play defense. They held Alyssa Monahan of Bonner Prendy, arguably the best player in the Catholic League, to only 10 points. And you're right, a lot of those young players really stepped it up in the second half. Now, another local matchup we had was CB West versus Archbishop Carroll at the 4A level. CB West with Nicole Munger, they end up winning that game.
Nicole Munger, a stud player. She's going to the University of Michigan. She only has 4 points in this game. They still win by 15. How do they do that? Well, other players stepping up. Mackenzie Carroll, 19 points in this game. She was a very key part of CB West State Championship soccer team this past year. Could win 2 in 1 year. Not a bad way to go out. She just had a great game, really picking up the slack from Munger. Peyton Traina, Corinne Godshaw also scored in double figures for CB West. Now, how about this? They've only lost 1 game this year. It was back on December 27th of last year, and of their 31 wins on the season, every single one of them has been by 10 points or more. You tell me how you can go against a team that has just dominated so thoroughly at the 4A level this year. You have to think that CB West is going to be a state champion.
Yeah, I agree. CB West, Newman Gretty, Wood, they're all certainly favorites to win their respective classification state championships. But there are a lot of local teams that unfortunately did not win this past weekend who had very good years. We mentioned Carroll, we mentioned Bonner Prendy, but also St. Basil's, Cardinal O'Hara, and Abington. They all go down. Talk about a couple of those teams that maybe had good seasons.
It just goes to show you how good the Philadelphia area basketball is in these state playoffs when you have so many teams that are still playing, a couple that you just mentioned losing, but to be in the quarterfinals is fantastic for all of these programs. A team that I'm looking to make a leap next year is St. Basil's. I saw them play in the first round, 18-point win over Philadelphia Academy Charter in the quarterfinals for the second straight year. This year they only have 2 seniors on the roster, still getting to this point, and they are led by Natalie Kakowski, a 6'2" sophomore forward. Keep an ear out for her name. She's already a heck of a player, averaging close to a triple-double, 11 points, 10 rebounds, 9 blocks. She is just such a talented player, and they have a lot of freshmen and underclassmen that are just scratching the surface of their potential. So you look at St. Basil's, a team that I think is ready for a serious state championship run next year.
Well, there are a lot of local teams still alive in the state semifinals, and when we come back, we're going to make some predictions next on SFBN Talks High School Sports.
got the personal attention I needed, I had a lot of options when I graduated, and as far as I'm concerned, this is my dream job.
Ryder prepared me for my NBA career, and I also got the education that I need for life after basketball.
I had 6 teaching internships while I was at Ryder, and right after graduation, I started a career that I love.
Welcome back to SFBN Talks, and it is prediction time. And Emily, I want to pick up where Ed and I left off with the girls basketball conversation. You have CB West in 4A, Wood in 3A, Newman Goretti in 2A. Do all 3 of them win the state championship?
I think we can all agree that Newman Goretti and CB West just sweep without a doubt. I mean, they've been crushing it so far this season. But the only one that's a little bit more up in the air, I would say 3A Archbishop Wood. You know, Bailey Greenberg does have an ankle injury, so we're not too sure about her status. But I think regardless of that, they could still win this. They have a great defense. The May sisters have stepped up, so I think they have this.
They've overcome a lot as a program, especially in the last 6 weeks. But Greenberg going down, it scares me because I've seen her play. I know how important she is in the front court, both offensively and defensively. Oftentimes has been the best player for that team. Whether she plays or not, if she does, she probably won't be 100%. It just scares me a little bit because it puts more pressure, especially, as you mentioned, on those underclassmen who have already done so much. If anybody in that trio loses, I think it would be Wood.
I have to agree. I think if Greenberg does not play, then Wood will not win 3A. But if she does play, I think there is a good chance that it is a clean sweep for the 3 teams left. Now, there are a lot of teams left on the boys' side. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Emily, let's start in 4A. King and Roman, they could match up in the state championship. So do they get there? And if they do, who wins that game?
I think they do. I see the 2 of these teams matching up, and I think King is going to come out on top. I know they lost to Imhotep earlier, but you know what? They've been on a roll lately, so I see them winning this.
To me, it's Roman. It's their year. They finally got over Newman Goretti, won the Catholic League title, and it just kind of seems like everything is working out for them right now. They beat Pennsbury by 1. And they get that bizarre technical foul at the start of the game. They end up winning by 1 point. They're loaded with talent. Chris McNesby is such a good basketball coach. To me, I don't see anybody knocking off Roman.
You know, King has a lot of talent as well. Sammy Foreman, Jabri McCall, Laji Fofana, and Sean Colson. He has that team motivated to win the state championship, especially after losing in the public league semi. So I am going to go with King in the 4A.
And moving on to 3A, you know, we have 3 teams left there. I think Newman Goretti and Carroll will match up, and I see Newman winning it all. They've won 4 of the 5 past PIAA titles, so I see them coming out on top here.
I am all aboard the Derek Jones, Archbishop Carroll bandwagon right now. I know that they didn't get as far as they wanted to in the league this season, but they've won their first 3 games by 34, 29, and 29 in the state tournament. Derek Jones, a big reason why. 26 points and 12 rebounds, 23 points and 10 rebounds, and in the most recent win, 22, 15, and 6 blocks. I think you could put this kid out there by himself, and they still have a good chance to win, but they don't have to do that, and he's got a lot of help. I think Carroll has found it, late magic, and they're going to win 3A.
You know, the last time we were making picks, I said Carroll would win the Catholic League, but after watching Quad A Green in the Catholic League Championship and the City Championship, I think he's going to lead Newman Goretti to a state title. Now, they play Imhotep in the semifinals. That's going to be a heck of a ball game, too, because Imhotep only lost by 3 to Newman Goretti in the city title. So I think whoever wins that game will ultimately win in 3A. Now, in 2A, a magical run for Conwell Egan has gotten them to the state semifinals. They didn't win a playoff game before 1964. Now they win the city title, and they win 3 state tournament games. Do they finish it off with a championship?
I think it'll be tough for them, but I think they can do it. Like you said, they've been on a roll. They actually just beat their school record after getting 18 wins last week. I see them winning this.
Their second round game, they won by 51 points. You don't beat anybody by 51 points in the state playoffs unless you're playing your best basketball. I think they certainly have a chance, but what worries me is not their semifinal matchup against Loyalsock Township. It's Aliquippa High School on the other side of the bracket, presuming they get to the state title game. They haven't lost this year, so I kind of think it's a great story, yes, but I think Conwell Egan falls one glass slipper short of that Cinderella story.
Yeah, they really do have a tough path to win the state championship with Loyalsock, who beat Mastery North, another Philly team in the state quarterfinals. And then you mentioned Aliquippa. So I think you're right, Ed. I think it's just going to be too much for Conwell Egan to overcome. Now, in 1A, a very interesting matchup in the state semifinals. Constitution versus MCS. And Ed, this is the 4th time that they are facing off this year. Now, let me ask you, is it 4 times a charm for MCS?
It's hard to beat a team 3 times in 1 year. 4 times, I don't know if Constitution can do it. And I mean, surely they have the talent, but something is just pulling me towards MCS. Now, Constitution has beat them all 3 times, as we mentioned, by 7 points in every game, but they've gotten closer and more competitive as it's gone on, I think. And MCS has the best player. It's Samir Dowdy. He's going to St. John's. Kid's a scoring machine. Something just tells me that this is their time.
Yeah, I think even with Dowdy, I think Constitution is going to win this. I'm going to stick with the favorite. They've beaten MCS 3 times this season, so I think they're going to win it.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think Dowdy will be the best player on the floor, as he usually is when these 2 teams meet up. But Constitution, the overall better team. Ahmad Gilbert is their best player going to George Mason. They're deep and they're talented. Constitution, they won the 2A state title last year. I think they win 1A this year.
So guys, we have a lot of different picks here, so we'll see who's correct in the next week. But to stay up to date with everything going on at SFBN, please check out our website.
Well, that about wraps things up for this edition of SFBN Talks High School Sports. And Emily, we talked a lot of basketball, but how cool was squash?
I love when we send Jack Cap out to learn another sport. I certainly learned a lot.
For Emily Henning, I'm Ari Bluestein. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Yeah, I think squash is very interesting.
Very interesting, right? I mean,
Select video equipment for SFBN Talks has been provided by DMP Video. DMP Video. You provide the moment, we'll capture the memories. For more information about our videography services, please go to our website at www.dmpvid.com.
The High School Scholar Athlete of the Month for March is Greta Meyer of Germantown Friends High School in Philadelphia. A 3-sport athlete, Greta is an all-league lacrosse player and team captain who is committed to play at Stanford University. She is also an all-league soccer player and holds several school records in indoor track. Translating her energy and work ethic from the field to the classroom, Greta excels academically as well with a 3.88 GPA.
The Sports Fanbase Network, this area's leader in high school sports broadcasting, is heading to TCN with a brand new talk show. Join us every other Wednesday at 6 o'clock for SFBN Talks High School Sports. We'll have everything from interviews with players, coaches, writers, and more, plus analysis, rankings, highlights, and in-depth features on major topics in the Delaware Valley high school sports community. Tune in every other Wednesday, 6 p.m. on TCN for SFBN Talks High School Sports.